still starting.
Wait, did you tag me?
I think I did. Let's see. I thought I did a description. Oh, there we go. We're live.
Hello, Oakland. This is Nikki Fortunato Bas, Oakland City Council President.
And Carroll Fife, City Council Member, District 3.
People are still joining.
District 2. So it was...
Slow down. People are still joining.
So people are going to be joining.
Yeah.
So we're just going to try to stay warm up here. Socially distanced enough with masks.
Yeah.
For folks who are joining. I don't know if people are because I can't see. But we're going to have a good conversation.
Yeah.
We're going to have a good conversation.
Thank you, Carol. I had a really hard day today.
Why?
And I appreciate you making time for me and being willing to be outdoors at night after we both finished our long days with lots and lots of meetings to talk this through. It's hella hard being a woman of color elected official.
Yeah.
I know that. 2 years in office.
Yeah.
You're learning that just 1 month in office.
Yep.
And I was attacked today.
You were attacked.
I was attacked.
I did see the video.
Yes.
I was quite shocked, extremely disgusted, and I'm glad you're here to set the record straight about some of the things that were said in the statement. I know from being in closed session conversations, I know from being at every city council rules meeting, finance committee meeting, that there are some things that were said today by our mayor that were simply just not true. And so I would like to hear from your perspective why you feel attacked, because I know what I saw. But what was it that you felt in that moment about what happened today? And can you kind of just share it for people so people can understand what exactly happened?
Yes, so I'll share what happened and how I felt it, how I was impacted. But the number one thing that I know I believe, and I know that you believe, is that we are here to serve the people.
That's right.
And so this is not about me.
That's right.
This is about my ability to serve the people of Oakland in District 2.
Right.
So, as some folks know, there has been increased violence in many of our communities. And, you know, here we are, Black History Month, also Lunar New Year, a very important moment for our Asian Pacific Islander community. And I was invited to Chinatown by the Chinatown business community, the Chinatown residents, to stand with them, to stand with 2 victims of violent crime.
Yeah.
And to support their call for more community safety. And so I came to the press conference, I came to offer support, I came to listen to the victims of these crimes, these really terrible crimes, and let them know that I am here to serve them. So I ended my statement saying that in this time of the pandemic, the economic recession, when people don't have what they need, and because they don't have what they need in Oakland and across the country, people are suffering. And that's the reason we're seeing more crime.
Right.
Because people don't have the basics to survive.
That's right.
And so I ended my remarks at this press conference saying, we have to, the council, the mayor, and the administration work together to address crime, violent crime in our city. Right. And then the mayor came to speak. She apologized. But you know what? She's commander-in-chief of our police force.
That's right.
She also announced that in the next week she will be appointing a new police chief. And to be honest, Carol, I've lost track how many police chiefs we've had.
It's been a lot.
It's been a lot.
We were on Comedy Central.
I know. It's embarrassing.
About that issue.
It's embarrassing. So I was shocked to hear, number one, that she apologized.
Because what did she apologize for?
She apologized for what the victims of violent crime experienced. But what was more shocking was that she didn't offer up her specific solutions as the commander-in-chief of our police force. She also said we must condemn racism, and of course I agree with that.
Of course.
Of course. But what she did after that was so much about the problem of white supremacy that not enough people feel. So here we were in Chinatown, centering a conversation about safety with victims of violent crime, with our business leaders and community leaders who want more safety. She calls out racism in my district. She doesn't address me as the council president. But more than that, she created a platform to attack me and our Vice Mayor, Rebecca Kaplan. She looked at me, she said, I apologize, but Councilmember Bas and Councilmember Kaplan, you tried to reduce the police budget by $25 million, and if you had done that, we would have lost our community resource officers months ago. And that was flat out not true.
Right.
I want to set the record straight because what I am trying to do in representing the people is keep our communities safe.
Right.
That 25 million reduction did not reduce community policing because I know, having served on council, having lived in this community for more than 20 years, that it's the relationships that we have with our walking officers, especially our business community. That community policing and those relationships can help keep our community safe. In addition to solving the root causes of crime, like providing housing, education, jobs, healthcare. So I want people to know that number one, my proposal with the Vice Mayor did not cut community policing resources. And in fact, my proposal was to take from where our police spending is loaded, like overtime, where it's not necessary because it's not violent crime, and redirect it to solve and prevent violent crime through things like community ambassadors. And the Chinatown community, they actually have a fantastic program hiring formerly incarcerated folks as community ambassadors to build relationships with the community and keep them safe. And that's what my proposal was about.
And I would assume that those people are a lot less in terms of their salaries, that would cost a lot less than maybe a sworn officer.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so we as elected officials are trying to make sure we use our tax dollars wisely.
Yeah.
And that we're being effective.
So the untruth that I heard today, that I can specifically say I have experience understanding from being on the council for 4 weeks, is that in the finance committee that happened on January 25th, the city administrator said that he took responsibility without council approval, without public input, on cuts that were made in December and cuts that were made in January, and is planning additional cuts, none of which have come before any constituent or the city council. That has been my experience.
That's right.
So I don't know how that goes from the city administrator made cuts to the reimagining process, which was not in any type of form. It was an idea and a concept that had not been planned out, is the reason why, had that happened, then officers would have been lost. Like, what is the reality in that statement? Like, why is that relevant? I don't understand that. So I'm going to ask the community to make it make sense. Because what I heard is that we should blame the vice mayor and the council president for violence that took place because they were reimagining what public safety would look like if we invested in community. I want you all to make that make sense for me. Because what I heard was white privilege, of a white woman coming into a space of people of color and not really centering their pain, not creating solutions or not discussing solutions, and then blaming the outcomes of decisions that she made as the executive administrator of the city made decisions, but is blaming those decisions on a city council that had nothing to do with it.
Right.
That is what actually happened. And that is why I'm frustrated and disgusted, because it was a blatant lie. We have receipts. I will post those. I will share those with my constituents and with my community. I'm sure our council president has the same information. And I know the vice mayor has even more, because she's been dealing with this for a long, long time. So I think what's important for us to do is share that information with the community. And I'm glad you shared what you felt, Nikki, because what we feel is important, although that's not why we lead, but what we feel is important. And what I felt in that moment was triggered by the image of a white woman using dog whistle tactics to create a fracture between the Asian community and the black community. That is what I felt. Because when you are a white woman coming in and saying, this is why you're afraid, this is why we need officers to keep you safe, because these people are doing this to you and your communities, is not the message that is, number one, factual, and nor is it the energy that you want to exemplify in this particular moment. What our council president said is absolutely true, which is race neutral, that people in a pandemic are hurting, and there are root causes to why people do in ridiculous things when they have no money, when they have no food, and when their resources are scarce. It's happened throughout history, and it will continue to happen as long as people's needs are not met. So we need, as our elected officials, to work together to figure out how we meet people's needs and hold people accountable when they take advantage and they are secondary predators inside of a system where the primary predators intentionally keep resources away from them. That is what we need to focus on.
That's exactly right. And let me just say this, Carol. You know, because you know me, that I believe in solidarity.
Absolutely.
I believe in Asian-Black solidarity. And you remember that I said when I got elected, the first thing I said when I talked about who I would represent is Black people.
That's right.
And that's because I know, having lived here in Oakland for over 20 years, 23 years, and I know from growing up in Virginia in a segregated community as well, that the liberation of Black people means the liberation for all of us.
That's right.
And I want to say to my Asian brothers and sisters, we were used. We were used. I want to be clear about that. I was disrespected in my community. I was silenced and disrespected. And to my API brothers and sisters who held that press conference, this has to stop. I am so proud that I am not the only Asian representative on this council. Councilmember Schaaf was equally disgusted by what happened. Mm-hmm. We as Asians, and we especially as Asian women, we get silenced, we get bullied, we get pushed around, but you know what? Sheng and I are not going to let that happen
That's
anymore.
right.
And I am calling on my Asian brothers and sisters to understand that the tactics of white supremacy, and Trump is really good at this, right?
Yeah.
It's to divide us and keep us from not focusing on the system and the root causes of the problems. So if we focus on the system like we're trying to do as we reimagine safety, as we look at our budget and say, well, why aren't we updating our corporate business tax? If we look at the systemic issues, there are solutions that will get us away from the scarcity mentality into actually sharing the wealth. And there is plenty of wealth.
That's right.
In this community, this region, this country. So, another important message is that real solidarity is across races, but understanding the uniqueness that each of our communities face and how diverse we are. And just because you're Asian doesn't mean you're progressive.
That's right.
I gotta say that.
Right.
I gotta say that.
I don't know. Should we take some questions and see are people hearing me?
I want to
Mm-hmm,
say
190.
I want to say one more thing. So, you all know that the mayor's feed did not, the live broadcast stopped when I tried to set the record straight, and then I was looking at the KTVU feed, and that live broadcast stopped when I was responding to even more questions.
Wow.
And so the part that doesn't appear to be on video, as far as I know, is when I was responding to how this happened.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the community has been really upset that we've lost our walking foot patrol.
Mm-hmm.
And like you mentioned, there are decisions that are made by our commander-in-chief, our executive-in-chief, the mayoral administration with the city administrator that don't even come to council. In fact,
Right.
we're still trying to get some more information about what the budget situation is so we know our options to balance this budget responsibly. and
Since
take care of the
December,
people.
right?
That's right. So on December 20th, the administrator issued a memo with $29 million in budget cuts. And it was the administrator who works for the mayor who suspended our foot patrol officers that people are so concerned about.
Right.
And so I want to be clear that that happened without any consultation with us as a council, because if we had been consulted, we would say, hey, our business community is really scared.
Right.
You know, some of our community members are really scared. There's a lot of fear out there that's real
Mm-hmm.
and healing and that needs to happen from the trauma.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, we're the ones on the ground that talk to our constituents every day, and we know what that is. And I want to share one more example. So the administrator also cut fire services. He was planning to brown out 3 stations, but people spoke up about that.
Mm-hmm.
And he realized, whoa, wait a minute, okay, I gotta restore some of this.
Right.
So that is happening because the community is speaking out.
Right.
Another thing that we are learning is that because the administrator cut the homeless OPD unit that usually accompanies our public works crews when they clean, you know, they pick up the garbage at homeless encampments and do deep cleanings, that has been suspended. So we're in a situation right now because the administration didn't engage council in these decisions where we're realizing these are horrible decisions that the administration has made. There are real life repercussions in terms of our safety and in terms of some basic things like picking up the trash at homeless encampments.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what's happening here.
So I have to ask Annette, I have to ask the people, because oftentimes the people are smarter than me. Why is the mayor saying that the city council made these cuts, or implying that the city council made these cuts, when it was actually the city administrator who took responsibility on the record in public for all of the cuts that have happened to the budget? Why is the mayor trying to make it seem like it is the council's responsibility? Primarily our council president and the vice mayor. Why is that happening? What I'm feeling and what I'm hearing from my constituents is there's a lot of fear mongering. There's a lot of untruths that are being spoken to try to whip people into a frenzy in order to get them to beg for police services, to get them to ask for more overtime. But we need to do our due diligence to research why is everything that is budgeted through the police department put into an overtime budget in the first place. We need a deep audit about how our line items are even drafted, because from what I understand, in my briefing with the police department, because I have to, as a new council member, I have to meet with all of the heads of departments, the chief told me that everything that exists in policing outside of patrols and investigation is scheduled as overtime. Everything except those 2 things. And that the city administrator came to her in December saying, tell us everything that is not patrol and investigation, because we're going to start cutting. And I said, well, Chief Manheimer, did the city administrator ask for your ideas about what was best or what's needed by community or what's being asked for? No, they just made the cuts. So something's happening here. Something is happening.
So,
And what do you think that is?
well, let me just say, Carol, so you and I serve on the Rules Committee. We're
Yes.
meeting in the morning, right? I did submit a rules request, and that request was to get that information. Because I want to be informed by what our department heads would like to potentially propose. So that basic information, you know, we have to go through our legislative process to get it.
Right. And I want to say also to the people that we are trying to work in your best interest. You all recently put me here, pretty significantly, right? To work for you. So everything that I present will be for the purposes of letting you all know what's happening behind the curtain. And I'm telling you, I've only been there for 4 weeks, and it is not pretty. It is not pretty, but I commit to, as I said when I ran, that I will bring you all the information. I will open up the doors for the people and let you all know what is happening. And right now they are trying to undermine a progressive council in so many ways. Because we are winning, we're getting things done. We are being able to move things that weren't able to be moved before. And so it's important that you all recognize what is happening right now. Our voice is attempted to be stifled, but you can't let that happen. We need you all to pay attention. We need you to do research. Honestly, there's been more money brought into like pet projects through public-private partnerships where there's hundreds of millions of dollars that never make it to the city council because they're in nonprofits or side accounts or different little buckets, right? There's a lot of work that needs to happen, and we need people to research. How much does it cost for a headhunter to go through and find different police chiefs? We've been through 7 since 2009. How much does that cost? How much are we spending in lawsuits? The previous chief is suing the city for $6 million right now. Every penny matters if they're concerned about budget deficits in this pandemic. Everything matters. But what mostly matters is that we can get some stuff done if we're able to continue to work for the people. And so, Nikki, I don't know what you have to think about this whole process in city government.
So I think more than anything, democracy matters. Your participation matters. Bringing transparency and accountability into this process matters. So the mayor said, watch what the council is doing. Watch what decisions we are making. You know what? Our decisions are at our council meetings.
Exactly.
At our council meetings.
That's why we have a public process.
Exactly. The decisions of the mayor and the administration, they are not.
Right.
And so we are trying to do our best, and we need your help to get the information that we need to make sure that the people are served.
Right.
And we are pushing back on those powers trying to divide us, dividing us across race, dividing us across neighborhood. And I want to say again, something I said when I was inaugurated was that I will represent you even if you did not vote for me. And Carol, I think you've said that too.
Yep.
That is our job.
Yep.
And so what I am really upset about today is that an event that was about healing the community, about bringing together the community, about creating safer communities got turned into a political platform by our mayor, our commander-in-chief, our chief executive our chief executive of the city. And that is it's just not acceptable.
It's not acceptable.
I have been really working towards coalition building, working with everyone, and being above petty politics.
Yes.
And I will continue to strive to do that. I have my monthly check-in with the mayor on Friday.
Oh, this week?
Yes.
I'm going to tell you something. I heard this from some famous lady. When they go low, we go high.
That's right. We go high. We go high.
Oh my
And
goodness.
I want to say one more thing. I don't want to, we both have meetings in the morning.
Yeah.
One more thing. So another thing I said on Inauguration Day is no more decisions behind closed doors.
Right.
We have an important closed session tomorrow, and we cannot talk about what happens in closed session, of course.
Right.
But I want to make sure people know what's on the agenda. And so tomorrow there is something very important on the closed session agenda, something that's really important to my district in all of Oakland, which is the East 12th Street parcel, the parcel of public land right by the lake that the city decided in 2016 to sell for what ended up being a mixed-use development.
Right.
I know people have a lot to say because, well, you and I we've been really clear, public land should be used for the public good, and we are in a housing crisis, we are in a homeless crisis. We have 20% vacancies in our market rate buildings. You know, those rents are just dropping.
Right.
So is this the moment to continue building market rate housing?
Absolutely not.
That's right.
Absolutely
And
not.
so tomorrow at our closed session, that item is on, that development is on the agenda. You know, for folks who watch what's happening in the city, they might know that the development and disposition agreement expires on February 15.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see what happens. We'll see what that conversation is about. But I know a lot of people care about that precious piece of land being sold and not having it immediately put to house the homeless. I mean, it hurts me. It hurts so many people that large piece of land, it's almost an acre. It could be housing the homeless community that's there and the surrounding community.
And it's so critical, Nikki. Like, it's raining right now. It's cold, and we can do better.
We can do so much better. Yeah.
I don't know. Anything else you want to share with people? Thank you for spending time with me tonight.
Thank you. I needed this.
Yeah, me too.
You know?
It's okay. It's okay. We're gonna get through it.
Yeah, we will. We will. And you know, the thing that grounds me is remembering we are doing this for the people as public servants.
That's right.
It's not about us. Right? It's not about me, it's about us.
That's right.
The collective us.
Yes.
The people we represent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Public land for public good.
That's right.
Thanks for sticking with us.
All right.
Good night.